Prior to his loss against Sergey Pavlovich on the UFC Fight Night Thompson vs. Holland card, heavyweight superstar Tai Tuivas made it super clear he wouldn't be fighting at UFC 284. The Aussie revealed he wanted to spend time away from the sport with his family instead of starving himself over Christmas to prepare for the event. Keep watching this video as we break down Tai's latest appearance inside the cage and his plans for Christmas.
Tuivasa trying to put the finishing touches on this one.
First up, quality time with the family. Tai Tuivas was set to make a grand appearance at UFC 284 as the promotion finally returned to Australia after 4 long years. It's already being labeled as one of the biggest sporting events of 2023, with fellow Aussie Alexander Volkanovski gearing up to take on the dominant Islam Makhachev in a rare champ versus champ fight. But isn't it a bit weird how Tai pretty much dropped the opportunity of a lifetime since he could have been fighting in his home country in front of his people? Well, believe it or not, Bam Bam is quite the family man. Instead of having to starve himself for UFC 284, the 29-year-old would much rather spend some quality time away from the game with his family. Look, I'm more excited to be pissed by the side of the ring than starving myself over Christmas. It makes sense though. Imagine having to go through a grueling weight cut and camp while everyone around you is having a good time enjoying the holiday. And since Tuivasa has been on the road for so long, he can't wait to finally get back home to his family. We can't blame him for dropping out of the event, but it would have been really entertaining to see a card stacked with Aussies battling it out in front of the home crowd. UFC president Dana White first talked about a fight night in Australia back in August. Shortly after, Tai posted on Instagram that he had some really exciting news about an upcoming event. Looks like we were wrong about him fighting at Perth.
Another big elbow.
If Hasker has a takedown in his arsenal, now is the...
Next, sorry Australia, Tai knows what he's missing out on, and more importantly, he knows his fans back home had a lot of expectations. They were already in for a treat with Volka getting a shot at joining the legendary list of double champions, and with Bam Bam on the same card, it would have been absolutely madness at Perth. The 29-year-old apologized to his fans, and Australia in general, for letting them down, but promised he'd be in the crowd. We already touched on this, but we're just blown away by how he dropped out of such a mega sporting event. And don't get us wrong, it's not like Tai needs the exposure since he's already a household name in the world of MMA, but imagine the hype and all the money to be made. Alexander versus Islam would have packed the arena, selling out a crazy amount of PPVs, and with Tai on the same card, it would have been a huge payday for him as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't blame the guy for wanting to be relaxed for once after a long time on the road. You don't get a UFC showdown in Australia every day, but we're glad he's made the right call here, and who knows, it might just end up helping him come back even stronger after his loss against Sergey. It would have been really iconic though, seeing Bam Bam drink beer out of a shoe in front of the arena packed with Aussies.
I think both men recognize the danger. He's dangerous when he's hurt.
Moving on, Bam Bam weighs in. Since we're on the topic of UFC 284, let's talk a little about what the heavyweight thinks of his fellow countryman taking on the Dagestani lightweight champion. He started by saying it's going to be a tough fight for both gentlemen, but then talked about what we've been saying all along, the home crowd effect. Islam would have had some support if this fight was happening somewhere in Vegas or even Brazil, but this is Perth we're talking about, Volka's home turf, and when thousands of fans are chanting his name right before the bell, it's going to be a really high-pressure situation for the lightweight champion. And the fact that this is practically his first title defense just makes it so much tougher. Tai also told everyone to watch out for him as he gets hammered in the stands on the night of action, pumping the crowd to get behind the featherweight champion. You just can't hate the man. Whether he's fighting or not, he knows how to get everyone fired up, and the fact that he's going to be there makes things so much better. Don't know about you guys, but we're siding with the heavyweight here. We think Volka will take home the belt and becomes a double champion, shutting down the Islam Makhachev train until further notice.
If he gets knocked down again, I think it's safe to say.
Following up, dropped in less than a minute. Despite announcing time off before his fight against Sergey, Tai said he'd be skipping UFC 284 284 regardless of the outcome. Even if he managed to get a win over the dominant Russian heavyweight, he wasn't too keen on fighting in February. But we weren't expecting him to get schooled by Pavlovich in under 1 minute. To be fair, Bam Bam knew it was going to be a wild brawl, but he probably had no idea the Russian would be that aggressive so early on in the fight. He caught Tai with some really nasty strikes, forcing him to cover up before finally dropping him, followed by a fury of strikes to seal the deal. Honestly, it looked like the 29-year-old was an amateur in front of Sergey. The way he just dominated him and kept on catching him with lightning-quick strikes was incredible. It was a solid performance, and after seeing him get butchered in 54 seconds, we actually think he made a wise call by sitting out. He desperately needs a break right now. It almost looked as if he didn't want to be inside the cage that night, but yeah, we're not going to take anything away from Pavlovich. The fact that he could do so much damage in just 54 seconds to arguably the most durable guy in the division is mind-blowing. The Russian has announced his arrival and will be a serious contender in the heavyweight division, with Francis Ngannou still out of the game. Up next, everyone's right to be scared of him. Tai knew everyone was afraid of Sergey, and we love how he's so candid about things. Just days before the fight, he revealed that he had no idea who he was. He didn't know a lot about his fighting style, and we're guessing that's why he looked like an amateur inside the ring. But you gotta hand it to him. The only reason he took this fight was that everyone was so afraid of Pavlovich. I suppose that's why they offered him to me. Everyone must be scared of him. If you ask us, we think everyone's rightly afraid of him because he was throwing fire that night. It almost seemed as if hammers were hitting Tai every time Sergey landed a strike. The 29-year-old had serious trouble protecting himself. He was wobbling all over the place, and it looked like a total mismatch. We expected the fight to go on a bit longer though, because like we said, Tai is arguably the most durable guy in the division. He took monstrous punches and kicks from Gon, but still kept standing. Not with Pavlovich though. Last but not least, a missed opportunity. If you look at the bigger picture, Tai basically missed a shot at the title. If he managed to beat Sergey, he would have easily climbed the rankings. Well, not exactly rankings, since he would have probably just moved up one position, but look at how the division is caught up right now. We have no idea when Ngannou is going to return, and with all the talks going around about him and Dana being in a deadlock, we're not even sure whether he's going to return. He's holding up an entire division, and if it goes on for longer, he might just have to vacate the title. Then you have the legendary John Jones vulturing the division, hoping to make a perfect entry and get a shot at the belt. And we know what you're thinking about. There's a lot of discussion going around about Jones and Ngannou facing each other at UFC 285, but none of that is confirmed yet. And if Tai had registered a W in his last outing against the Russian, he would have found himself just a fight or two away from the title. He'll be back though, that's for sure. He's still young and has a good 3 to 4 years of fighting left in him.
First round knockout, find him a shoe.
Hit him a shoe.
That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Did Tai make the right call by sitting out of UFC 284? And what did you make of his performance against Sergey Pavlovich? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.